Jameis Winston is obviously a much better quarterback than Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill, he played in all 16 games, but he only started like he only started like 5 or 6 games as the quarterback for the Saints, and he led the NFL in turnovers. So there's that. Jameis Winston, he came into a playoff game against his former team, tossed a touchdown when Drew Brees couldn't. Granted, it was a gimme touchdown. All he had to do was complete the pass, but he still threw a touchdown in the playoffs against his former team. He looked a lot better. If you look at the offseason workouts as far as the Saints are concerned, all the big name guys like Traquan Smith, Michael Thomas, Adam Troutman, they're all working out with Jameis Winston. No one's working out with Taysom Hill. I mean, the dude's just sitting out there in Utah just twiddling his thumbs, I feel like, maybe hitting the weight rooms. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, man, but he better not be preparing to be our starting quarterback because – oh, man, if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback, I might just literally cry every single Sunday and probably just not even watch the game. And just maybe if I do, I'll just keep one eye closed. And I don't know, man. But I really hope it's Jameis Winston, the former number 1 overall draft pick, by the way, taking the snap. Former Heisman Trophy winner, by the way. The former Florida State national champion, by the way. Man, it sure would be nice. The guy that Drew Brees handpicked and said, this is your team now. I really hope that that's the guy that'll be taking the snaps under center week 1 and not the other guy from BYU who had 4 ACL tears in 5 years in college and is almost like 35 years old or something like that. So I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I love Taysom Hill and everything he brings to our team and our offense as a whole, but I do not like Taysom Hill as our starting quarterback at all.
So it sounds to me, Michael, you're pretty comfortable with Jameis Winston. If we say that the Packers say they're really, really sorry to Aaron Rodgers and he says, okay, fine, I'll stay there. Sounds to me like you're not really interested in getting any other. You'd be happy for Winston to take that starting job and keep it out for the rest of the season. You wouldn't be shopping around for any new faces.
Yeah. I think Jameis Winston has more than earned his keep as far as, getting at least an opportunity to start for the Saints. I mean, the dude hasn't charged us anything really the past 2 years. And I mean, he's a quarterback in the NFL who could have left the Saints and easily have gotten $25 million on like a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, something like that, easily. He was one of the hottest free agent quarterbacks on the market, and he decided to stay in New Orleans, take a massive pay cut. I mean, this first year with New Orleans, to learn under Drew Brees and Sean Payton, he only charged us $1.1 million. Like, that's barely over the veterans minimum. So it's just like, I mean, the dude clearly wants to be in New Orleans. The dude doesn't want to leave the NFC South. You have to remember, that's another thing to weigh in too. Like, he knows the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like the back of his hand. He played under Bruce Arians. He's in his entire career has played against the Carolina Panthers. He's played against the Atlanta Falcons. He's played against the Saints. And obviously he knows the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he's used to playing in the NFC South. He knows the majority of the dudes who will be taking the field against him. So that's all good. And then, I mean, he obviously got to learn underneath Drew Brees and Sean Payton for an entire year, learn the playbook, things like that. The only thing that's a little bit concerning is the fact that he struggles with his slant route completion percentages is what we're hearing, I guess. But, it's easily things that could be coachable. Sean Payton is a former quarterback himself. He's one of the best head coaches in the NFL when it comes to developing players and to fit his system. So, I mean, honestly, I can't think of the last time a quarterback has ever like genuinely struggled under Sean Payton. I mean, look at when we had Teddy Bridgewater, he even thrived. And I mean, look at him now. Like in Carolina, he was mediocre at best, as their starting quarterback. And now he's in Denver competing with Drew Lock for a starting quarterback job. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, Sean Payton has never really had a bad quarterback on his roster. I mean, even Taysom Hill showed flashes of greatness. You know what I mean? Like, sure, he led the league in turnovers or whatever the case may be, but a lot of those turnovers, I guess, were him just fumbling the ball all the time. So who knows, honestly, but I know Sean Payton really likes the two of them. It's going to be a really, really good quarterback battle. I'm really excited for the preseason this year. But yeah, I don't think it's Ian Book. I think it's probably going to be Jameis Winston. If it's not Jameis Winston, then hopefully it's Ian Book. But Yeah, it's probably. I hope it's Jameis Winston, but it just better not be Taysom. That's all. That's all I know.
It'd be interesting if it is Winston, because there is a lot of upside to having Winston as the starter instead of Taysom Hill, most notably, obviously, with Michael Thomas. I'm sure he is going to see a lot more targets. Now, I'm sure he'd be covered a lot more this year because obviously lost Emmanuel Sanders, who was obviously brought in to be that guy to sort of give Michael Thomas the freedom to sort of, break his reception record he made 2 years ago. Also, on the running back side of things with Alvin Kamara, there's a lot of options to do what Drew Brees did as well with the dumps to the running back to run, and obviously for him to run himself. But with Taysom Hill, yeah, you could see more of a Ravens offense going forward. It would be under Sean Payton. If it was going to be Taysom Hill as a starter, you'd see a lot more QB keeps probably running in, maybe not throwing it as much.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's just two completely different offenses, it seems like. And that's why it kind of does scare me, because I really do think that Taysom Hill could be the starting quarterback for the Saints, just because he's been there longer, just because he has chemistry with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and guys like that. But at the same time, you're seeing Alvin Kamara and Traquan Smith and Michael Thomas and Adam Troutman, all these dudes work out with Jameis Winston throughout the offseason. So it's really just up in the air at this point. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't know the starting quarterback until 2 days before our opening week, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I mean, it'd actually probably be smart to keep the Carolina Panthers guessing like that, to just wait until like the day before. Yeah, I think we should do that. But yeah,
well, it's I guess on the other side of things, though, it is good weapons to have, because there are going to be games in the schedule where it's going to be more favorable to throw the ball. So you have Winston, and there'll be other games where it'd be more favorable to, just ground and pound the team whose maybe defensive line and linebackers aren't as strong, but their secondary can, will they be ready to pick off any error that Winston makes? So it'd be good to have the options of both, so it could be fluid in terms of, okay, this game is better for Hill and this game is better for Winston.
Yeah, I think you just kind of have to take it a week-to-week basis. But like I said earlier in the show, I think the Saints are very much going to be leaning more heavily on the running back room that we have. I mean, you notice that the Saints really don't have a great receiving unit outside of Michael Thomas, and Traquan Smith, I think, is going to be an emerging star for us, and Deontay Harris is very good as well. But outside of Michael Thomas, really, there's really no proven secondary option, and the Saints really didn't do much to address the wide receiver unit, which just kind of goes to show that they're not really too focused on the passing and air game this year. I think they're going to be more focused on just ground and pound. There was a lot of rumors that Latavius Murray was going to be released this offseason, but that never ended up happening. And I think that's because they want to keep, the boom and zoom type of, offense with Kamara being the zoom and then Latavius Murray being the boom, kind of like what they had with Mark Ingram a couple years ago. The Saints have always just had success with a power back and a receiving back. And, I think as long as they can just kind of count on those guys to just put points on the board and, just get down the field, keep them in field goal range, just keep the other team off the field as much as possible, run the clock down and then see where you're at in the fourth quarter. I think, that opens up a lot more opportunities for success as far as passing the ball. I think the Saints are going to be a lot more of, running to set up the pass this year rather than, passing to set up the run this year, which is usually what they are. So I think, it goes back to that, are you disappointed with the past 5 years question that you asked earlier? It's just kind of no, because, it sets us up nicely in terms of, being able to, have these weapons like Kamara and being able to run the ball and have those options, you know what I mean? And then obviously having Adam Troutman, who's going to be an emerging tight end and, just things like that. I think, the Saints have built their roster in a way to where it's going to be a run first team. Just Adam Troutman and the other two tight ends that they have on the roster are very much blocking tight ends. They're block first and then catch second, you know what I mean? And then, we put a lot of pride and emphasis on our running back room this offseason, and not so much really anywhere else on the offense other than the offensive line. We brought in a couple pieces on the offensive line to beef that up a little bit. So I think that, and then, yeah, it's and the whole Jameis Winston throwing interceptions thing. It's hard to tell. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell whether him using the eye surgery thing as just an excuse for him throwing 30 interceptions, or whether or not that was actually a genuine problem or not. So time will tell in terms of that. Hopefully he does not throw 30 interceptions. I'll settle with like 25, 27 interceptions as long as he doesn't throw 30. I'm just playing, but. Yeah, I think Jameis Winston's probably the better option overall. I think he's just probably, I just think he has more experience at the quarterback position that could come to the Saints. It depends really on if they want experience or if they want athleticism. So I think that's pretty much what it's going to come down to. But I think the Saints will have a pretty successful offense either way. So